It's the truth with your host, Caleb McLaughlin. Yeah, that's right, I'm C-Lab. Welcome to the truth, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Back with you all to share the truth with you once again. In this episode, I'd like to talk about the strongest man that ever lived. Everybody, this weather is beautiful out. People are showing their guns. You know, men are looking tough, trying to be all macho. Wrote a song about it. They had a wrestler named Macho Man. We all loved him. Don't lie. You know he was the coolest. But I don't think he was as cool as Samson. And let's find out why. Because I got some more truth from you. Straight from the Bible. From me to you. Once again, I bring you the truth. Now let's find out about Samson here. Let's find out a little about his parents. You need a little know a little about his parents before you know about the man himself. See how he was conceived here. So in Judges 13, chapter 20, I encourage you to get out your Bibles because I know you haven't memorized it yet, like me. But in verse 20 it says, "So it came about that as the flame ascended from off the altar heavenward, then Yahweh's angel ascended in the flame of the altar while Manoah and his wife were looking on. At once they fell upon their faces to the earth. And Yahweh's angel did not repeat appearing to Manoah and his wife any more. Then it was that Manoah knew that he had been Jehovah's angel. Consequently, Manoah said to his wife, 'We shall positively die, because it is God that we have seen.' But his wife said to him, 'If Yahweh had been delighted only to put us to death, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and grain offering from our hand, and he would not have shown us all these things, and he would not as now have let us hear anything like this.' Later, the woman gave birth to a son and called his name Samson. And the boy kept getting bigger, and Yahweh continued to bless him. In time, Yahweh's spirit and a lot of steroids started to impel him to Menathadan, between Zorah and Eshtaol. So, Samson was another great birth that Yahweh inspired in people. You know, they were doing their burning of their altars, and, you know, Yahweh loves the smell of cooked animal and grains and, you know, all the good stuff that we all love to smell. And Yahweh was enjoying that, and he would particularly like Manoah's. And his wife was like, if that was Yahweh that we saw the flames going up, why would he kill us? And Manoah was like, yeah, we would be dead already, because you can't see Yahweh. Right? No, you can't see Yahweh, you'd be dead. It's too great to see. All right, well, let's learn a little bit about Samson here. Starts off pretty good here. Then Samson went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Oh, those fucking Philistines, man. So he went up and told his father and his mother and said, 'There is a woman that I have seen in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines, and now get her for me as a wife.' But his father and his mother said to him, 'Is there not among the daughters of your brothers and among all my people a woman, so that you are going to take a wife from the uncircumcised fucking Philistines?' Still, Samson said to his father, 'Get just her for me, because she is the one just right in my eyes. She's pretty gorgeous, Philistine.' As for his father and his mother, they did not know that was from Yahweh, that he was looking for an opportunity against the fucking Philistines. as at that particular time the Philistines were ruling over Israel. Getting pissed at Israel, ruling them. And accordingly, Samson went on down with his father and his mother to Timnah. When he got as far as the vineyards of Timnah, why look, a maned young lion roaring upon. Man, my cat is really on one, man. I always do this in one take, so I'm sorry. When he got as far as the vineyards of Timnah, why look, a maned young lion roaring upon meeting him. So, maned young lion comes up and meets Samson. Then Yahweh's Spirit became operative upon him, so that he tore it in two, just as someone tears a male kid in two. And there was nothing at all in his hand, and he did not tell his father or his mother what he had done. And he continued on his way down and began to speak to the woman, and she was still right in Samson's eyes. So, yeah, I guess, tearing of a male kid in two, pretty easy. I'm not sure what that means there. A kid, male kid, child, possibly, human origin, maybe a goat, hopefully a goat. That sounds a little better in the mind, tearing in two with your hands, just a little bit. Goat, I think they call them kids as well, but Yahweh's pretty, he's pretty brutal at times. But yeah, Samson was here, is ripping apart a maned young lion, just ripped him in two. And he didn't tell his mom and dad that, because he had this woman on his mind. Now after a while, he went on back to take her home. Meantime, he turned aside to look at the carcass of the lion, and there was a swarm of bees in the lion's corpse and honey. So he scraped it out into his palm and walked on, eating as he walked. When he rejoined his father and his mother, he at once gave them some, and they began to eat. And he did not tell them that it was out of the corpse of the lion that he had scraped the honey. That's a really weird place for some honey to be, in a corpse of a lion. But, happens all the time, I guess. I see honey in a lot of corpses. I'm sure you do too. And his father continued on his way down to the woman, and Samson proceeded to hold a banquet there, for that was the way the young fellows used to do. And it came about that on their seeing him, they immediately took 30 groomsmen, that these should keep with him. Then Samson said to them, "Let me please propound a riddle to you. If you will without fail tell it to me during the 7 days of the banquet, and you do solve it, I shall in that case have to give you 30 undergarments and 30 outfits of clothing. But if you are unable to tell it to me, you yourselves also must give me 30 undergarments and 30 outfits of clothing." At this they said to him, "Do propound your riddle, and let us hear it." So he said to them, "Out of the eaters something to eat came forth, and out of the strong something sweet came forth." And they proved unable to tell the riddle for 3 days, because the riddle was just bullshit. And it came about on the 4th day that they began to say to Samson's wife, "Fool your husband that he may tell us the riddle." Oh, fuck you. I hate this phone. I fucking hate it. Yep, they said, "Fool your husband that he may tell us the riddle. Otherwise we shall burn you and the house of your father with fire. Was it to take our possessions that you people invited us here?" Consequently, Samson's wife began to weep over him and to say, "You only hate me, and you do not love me. There was a riddle that you propounded to the sons of my people, but to me you have not told it." At this he said to her, "Why? To my own father and my own mother I have not told it, and ought I tell it to you?" But she kept weeping over him the 7 days that the banquet continued for them, and she was just being a bitch at the party. And it came about on the 7th day that he finally told her, because he was so sick of her bitching. and she had pressured him. Then she told the riddle to the sons of her people. So the men of the city said to him on the seventh day, before ever he could go into the interior room, "What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion?" In turn he said to them, "If you had not plowed with my young cow, you would have not solved my riddle." And Yahweh's Spirit became operative upon him, so that he went down to Ashkelon and struck down 30 men of theirs, and took what he stripped off them, and gave the outfits to the tellers of the riddle. And his anger continued hot, and he went his way up to his father's house. And Samson's wife came to belong to a groomsman of his, who he had associated with him. Chapter 15. And it came about after a while in the days of wheat harvest, it's the fall, that Samson went visiting his wife with a kid of the goats. So he said, "I will go into my wife in the interior room." And her father did not allow him to go in. But her father said, "I really said to myself, you must unquestionably hate her. Hence I gave her to your groomsmen. Is not her younger sister better than she is? Let her, please, become yours instead of the other." However, Samson said to them, "This time I must be free of guilt against the Philistines, in case I am dealing with them to their injury." And Samson went his way and proceeded to catch 300 foxes, and to take torches and turn tail to tail, and put one torch between two tails, right in the middle. With that he set fire to the torches and sent them out into the fields of standing grain of the Philistines. Thus he set on fire everything from sheaf to standing grain, and the vineyards and the olive groves. He just burned all their fucking wares up. And the fucking Philistines began to say, "Who did this?" Then they said, "It was Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite, because he took his wife and then gave her to his groomsmen." At that, the Philistines went up and burned her and her father with fire. In turn, Samson said to them, "If you do not like this, there is nothing but for me to avenge myself upon you, and afterward I shall quit." And he went smiting them, piling legs upon thighs with a great slaughter, after which he went down and began to dwell in a cleft of the crag Etam. A lot going on here, man. Samson's got a little bit of an anger problem, and he really hates the fucking Philistines. They've been doing him wrong, though. They do some shady shit, and he ain't getting his rocks off. That's for sure. Okay, continuing chapter verse 9. Later, the Philistines came up and camped in Judah. And went tramping about in Lehi. Then the men of Judah said, "Why have you come up against us?" To which they said, "It is to tie Samson that we have come up, to do to him just as he has done to us." So 3,000 men of Judah went down to the cleft of the crag Etam and said to Samson, "Do you not know that the Philistines are ruling over us, you fucking idiot? So what does this mean that you have done to us?" Then he said to them, "Just as they did to me is the way I've done to them." But they said to him, "It is to tie you that we have come down, and to give you into the hands of the Philistines." At that Samson said to them, "Swear to me, and you yourselves will not assault me." And they went on to say to him, "No, but we shall merely tie you, and we will give you into their hand, but we shall by no means put you to death." Accordingly, they bound him with 2 new ropes and brought him up out of the crag. He, for his part, came as far as Lehi, and the Philistines, for their part, shouted exultingly at meeting him. And Yahweh's Spirit became operative upon him, and the ropes that were upon his arms came to be like linen threads that have been scorched with fire, so that his fetters melted off his hands. he now found a moist jawbone of a male ass and thrust his hand out and took it and went striking down 1,000 men with it. Then Samson said, with the jawbone of a male ass, 1 heap, 2 heaps. With the jawbone of a male ass, I have struck down 1,000 men. What a fucking badass right there. How much more badass can you get than that? I just went and killed 1,000 fucking Philistines with his jawbone of a fucking ass. Just bow. 1,000. Keeping them up. Nobody can stop me, man. Yahweh's inside of me. He's operating me like a transformer. He was the matrix inside of Samson's heart. And it came about that when he finished speaking, he immediately threw the jawbone out of his hand and called that place Ramath Leah. Now he became very thirsty, and he began to call on Yahweh and say, it was you that gave this great salvation into the hand of your servant, and now shall I die of thirst, and must I fall in the hand of the uncircumcised? So God split open the mortar-shaped hollow that was in Lehi, and water began to come out of it. Some more of that good rock water. I think we've learned about that before with Moses. And he proceeded to drink, after which his spirit returned, and he revived. That is why he called its name En-Kak-Kore, which is in Lehi down to this very day. And he continued to judge Israel in the days of the Philistines 20 years. All right. There's going to be a part 2. And I want you guys to be all ready for part 2 of Samson. This part 2 is coming up very soon. I won't keep you in suspense for very long. But Samson meets someone that's very good in his eyes. And she does some shady ass shit. But we all know that Samson, you can't keep that man down long from fucking over those fucking Philistines. That's what he was born to do. And Yahweh made sure of it. So, until next time, I will see you in episode 9. Or 10. Or, no, the next episode. Just keep watching. I love you guys. The truth from the Bible to me, to you. Always. Always the truth. Love y'all. Goodbye.